By now you've probably seen a Redmi Note 14 somewhere. Maybe the base model, maybe the Pro, or even the Pro Plus. Maybe even 5G, maybe even 4G, there's many of them. But there's a good chance that you haven't heard of this one, the Xiaomi Redmi Note 14S. And if you didn't see a huge launch for it, there's a good reason. This phone is essentially a repackaged version of last year's Redmi Note 13 Pro 4G. It is the same basic hardware with a new name tacked on to fit the current generation. Let's check it out and see if it's worth the budget price as compared to other phones, especially this year's Redmi Note 14 4G. Design-wise, the Redmi Note 14S instantly gives off a sense of deja vu, and for good reason. Like I mentioned earlier, this phone is basically a rebranded Redmi Note 13 Pro 4G, so the overall design hasn't really changed. We're getting the same camera placement, same materials, and the same overall size. That said, there is a small but welcome improvement in build quality. The Note 14S now comes with an IP64 dust and water resistance rating, a step up from the IP54 on last year's model. It is not waterproof by any means, but it will survive a few splashes or dusty environments much better than before. The phone still uses Gorilla Glass 5 on the front for protection, paired with a plastic frame and back, which keeps cost down but also makes it feel less premium compared to glass-backed rivals. The overall aesthetic is just fine. It's that typical budget phone look that blends into the sea of rectangular slabs you see every year. If you handed this to me without the branding, I'd struggle to tell you which phone it was. There's no distinctive design language, no clever material choices, nothing that makes it stand out. It does the job, but it doesn't tickle my fancy at all. Moving on to the display, the Redmi Note 14S keeps things straightforward but competent. You're looking at a 6.67-inch OLED panel with a resolution of 1080 by 2400 pixels, which means colors pop nicely and viewing angles are solid for the price point. It also supports a 120Hz refresh rate, giving you that smooth scrolling and snappy feel that's become the standard even in affordable phones. The refresh rate can adapt between 30Hz, 60Hz, 90Hz, and 120Hz depending on what you're doing, though the 30Hz mode only kicks in during the always-on display to save battery. As for content, it fully supports Full HD streaming, so YouTube and Netflix look sharp, but there is no HDR support, which is a bit of a letdown for media lovers. Still, for the average user, this is a pretty solid panel, bright, smooth, and reliable. On the surface, the camera system here is all about one huge number, 200 megapixels. You're getting a 200 megapixel main sensor, which is a Samsung's ISOCELL HP3 sensor, paired with an 8 megapixel ultra-wide, a mostly decorative 2 megapixel macro lens, and a 16 megapixel selfie camera up front. It is the exact same setup we saw on the Redmi Note 13 Pro 4G, because again, this phone is the Note 13 Pro 4G, just under a new name. In good daylight, this camera system does a very respectable job. The 200 megapixel sensor, when properly utilized, captures a decent amount of detail, and the processing keeps the colors punchy and generally decent. If your goal is simply to capture memories or snap a clean shot for social media, this camera is more than adequate for the price. The large sensor size does a lot of the heavy lifting here. When it comes to video, both the front and rear cameras cap out at 1080p at 30 frames per second, just like the standard Note 14. It's a bit limiting if you're used to 4K or even 60fps options, but again, this is a budget phone, and for social media clips or casual videos, it'll do just fine. Overall, the Note 14's cameras aren't built to impress photographers, they're built to be reliable and simple, great for memories, not masterpieces. Now the brains of this operation is the MediaTek Helio G99 Ultra processor. If that name sounds familiar, it should. This chip is common in the budget and mid-range segment right now. It is the same one you'll find in the newer Redmi Note 14 and several other competitive devices. It's a decent budget processor. For everyday tasks like scrolling through social media, watching videos, browsing the web, jumping between apps, it handles things smoothly. You're not going to notice any significant lag or stuttering in normal use. Where it starts to show its limitations is when you push it with heavier workloads. You can still comfortably play titles like Call of Duty Mobile or PUBG at low to medium graphics settings, though too many issues, but don't push them to high graphics. You can choose between 8GB or 12GB of RAM, and storage options range from 128GB to 512GB, but realistically, 128GB is starting to feel a bit cramped in 2025, so if you plan to keep the phone for a while, going for 256GB or higher is the smarter move. Overall, the performance here is what I'd call good enough for most people. If you're not a heavy gamer, if you're just looking for a daily driver that can handle everything you throw at it without breaking the bank, this delivers. It is not exciting, it is not pushing any boundaries, but it's reliable, and sometimes that's exactly what you need. On the software side, you're getting Android 15 with Xiaomi's HyperOS layered on top, and if you used any recent Xiaomi phone, you know exactly what you're getting into here. It is the full Xiaomi experience, for better and for worse. You get tons of customization, colorful visuals, and plenty of room to make the phone your own. You can tweak fonts, switch between different themes, set dynamic wallpapers, and even customize your always-on display to match your vibe. For users who enjoy making their phone feel personal, HyperOS still delivers that playful and flexible experience. But then we get to the less fun part: bloatware. Out of the phone, you're going to find random apps and games pre-installed that you almost certainly didn't ask for and will never use. The good news is that most of them can be uninstalled. You'll spend your first couple of minutes with this phone just cleaning house, removing stuff you don't want. It's annoying, but at least it's not permanent. There's also a couple of ads within the software. For example, after installing an app, you might see a pop-up recommendation or ad, but thankfully, most of these can be turned off in the settings by disabling recommendations in Xiaomi system apps. Software updates are a bit of a question mark. Xiaomi hasn't officially committed to a specific update timeline for this phone, but based on their recent track record, I'd expect at least 2 major Android updates, maybe more. Don't quote me on that, but that's a reasonable expectation. Now on to that battery, and this is where the Note 14S quietly redeems itself. It packs a 5000 mAh battery, which has basically become the standard in the big 2025. It is not huge, but it's reliable if you're an average user. Social media, calls, and maybe some YouTube and gaming, you'll comfortably make it through a full day on a single charge. Where this phone really shines is the charging speed. You get 67W fast charging, which is genuinely impressive at this price point. We're talking about going from empty to full in around 45 minutes. That's legitimately fast. You can plug this in during lunch, and by the time you're done eating, you've got enough juice to last for the rest of the day. That convenience factor is huge, especially if you're someone who forgets to charge overnight or just needs a quick boost. And this is something I genuinely appreciate. The charger is still in the box. I know it's wild that we're at a point where we have to call this out as a positive, but here we are. While companies like Samsung have removed chargers in the name of sustainability, while conveniently selling you one separately, Xiaomi is still including the accessories you need to actually use the phone at its full potential. So at the end of the day, the Redmi Note 14S is quite literally a copy-paste job of last year's Redmi Note 13 Pro 4G. It really feels like Xiaomi had a few leftover units sitting at a warehouse somewhere and decided to give it a new name and push it out again. But despite that, it's not a bad phone at all. Even though it shares a lot in common with the Redmi Note 14 4G, I'd actually pick up the 14S over it. Those small upgrades, the better IP rating, refined build quality, and faster charging give it just enough polish to make it the more appealing option overall. It is a solid budget choice that still manages to hold its ground in the big 2025. But the market is brutal right now. This phone competes directly with 56GB versions of the Galaxy A26, Galaxy M55s, Poco M7 Pro 5G, Tecno Camon 40, and the Vivo Y29. The Note 14S is the fastest charger of the bunch, but some rivals offer 5G or better brand software. So the question is, with all those options on the table, would you actually pick this one? Thanks for watching. I'm Milan and this is Fuzitech. Subscribe.